thanks for joining me to color. Today we are going to be working on this adorable CC Designs image called B. Henry. Isn't he cute? I love him. The little sentiment I generated on my computer using the Noteworthy font and the Are You Freaking Serious font. So I have printed that out onto the tag there so you can put it onto your card, or if you would like, you can flip it over and put your own sentiment on the back, and then do whatever you want with that. I will put a link down in the description box to the card kit and all the supplies I used. I would love for you to come shopping with me. And there are other things in the store besides card kits, so make sure to check that all out. If you have a question, leave me a comment and I will make sure to get back to you. Otherwise, I have already stamped my image on Neenah 80-pound Solar White cardstock with Memento Tuxedo Black ink. So let's color. All right then, since we're going to cut our boy out, we don't need to outline him, so we're going to start with our skin. For the skin tone, I'm going to use E21, E00, E000, and E50. And for his cheeks, I'm going to use R12 and R11. I'm going to start with my E21 on his arm. So let's go ahead and do a little dab here on his thumb. And then I'm going to go up each of his fingers and along his arm. And let's go right next to his sleeve. And he's also got, right over here is a little bit of his finger showing, so I'm going to go ahead and color that in right there before I forget about it. Next I'm going to go with E00. And so I want to touch down on top of my E21, and I want to pull up into my white. Over here we'll brush out this way. And then I'm going to fill the rest in with my E000. And then I'm going to brush over his arm with E50, just to give it a little bit of a yellow tone. Warm it up just a little bit. Okay, then we're going to hop up here and we'll do his face. So again, I'm going to start with my E21, and let's do up here underneath of his hair. Go right around the edge here, back down this side. And then I'm going to bring it around over here onto his cheek. And then I want to give his nose a little bit of definition, so I'm going to take my pen and give him a little bit of an arch right here. Next I'm going to add E00. So I want to touch down on top of my E21 and brush away from the E21 out here into his face. But I also want to add some over here. And I'm trying not to color the white of his eye on this side. And then for this little nose, I want to go like this on this side. I'll go ahead and connect it up here on his forehead. And then I'm going to add E000. And don't forget there's a white for his eye on here. Don't color that. Okay, and then I'm going to add some cheek color, so I'm going to grab R12. And this cheek on this side, there's not going to be very much, so I'm just going to put a little bit here on the edge. And then over here, I'm going to go, right, I'm going to pull it out a little bit more. And then I'm going to grab R11. And I'm going to soften that edge. And I think I'll add a little bit more of my R12 over here. Okay, then I'm going to grab, let's see here, let's do E00 again. So I'm going to go along the edge, over here. Don't forget about the white of his eye, don't color over that. And I'm going to color over that cheek. I got a little bit of a line up here on his forehead, so I'm going to color over that a second time. And then I'm going to add E000. And then I want to go over his entire face with E50 to add a little bit of that yellow tone. And then I think I will darken up this little spot I put on his nose. So I'm going to grab E21, go back up here and put this little half swirpy swirl right in there. And I want to pink up his cheeks a little bit more. So let's go with a little bit of R12. And then R11. And then I'll swoop over those with my E50. Let's give his eyes a little bit of color too. So first I'm going to start with C3, and I'm going to give it a little bit of a shadow up here at the top of his eye. So I'm going to go right next to the lid. Just give it a little bit of a shadow right there. Same for this side. Let's do a little bit by the lid. And then I'm going to add B93 to the circle around his iris. Let's go right like this. And same for this side. That'll give him a little bit of color to his eyes. Let's work on his hair next. For that, we're going to use E59, 57, 55, and 30. And I'm going to start with my E59. And let's go ahead and start right over here on this side. And do a few little flicks right here. And then up here where it's coming out from underneath of his little poofy hair on the top. Bring a few stripes in there. And then let's do a little bit over here where he's got his little poofy, let me turn my thing here a little bit more. So he's got his little poofy hair over here. And then we want to do each of these cute little hair sections here. So let's go right along the edge. Try not to color his face. Along this section, and I'm just going over each little bump that he's got on his hair here. And I'm trying not to color outside the lines. Okay, then I'm going to add E57. And we're going to go right along the edge of that last color. And add some more in there. Then we're going to add E55. So same thing, just work your way around. And then lastly, we're going to add E30. So I'm just going to go over the entire area and fill the rest in. And then I'm going to go back with my E59 and add just a few of these little stripes back into his dark, in the dark sections. Start up here. Do a little bit better with my streaks if I go towards me. So let's keep turning my boy around here. I can keep my little lines a little bit skinnier if I pull towards me when I'm doing the hair, it seems. And let's do a couple streaks over here. Maybe a little bit more right here. let's skip down here and do on his wings next. For that, we're going to use C3, 1, BG10, and my colorless blender. I'm going to start with C3, and let's do a little dab of that right next to his body, and then I'm going to go right along the line of his wing. Just like this, and color in some of those. And I also want to do the bottom wing, so let's do down here, and then a little dab along there. And then same for this wing down here. We're going to go right along the bottom. I'm trying to keep it as a skinny line. And right here. Then I'm going to add a little dab of C1. So I want to touch down on top of my C3, and I'm going to drag it just a little bit further out. And just soften the edge of that line. And then we're going to add BG10. I'm going to go over both of those colors. And I want to leave a little bit of white. So I'm going to go right along there, here. And then I'm going to take my colorless blender, and we're going to go right along the edge of that. Kind of soften that edge just a little bit. So I think we'll do the honey pot next. For that, we're going to use B97, 95, 93, and 91. And I'm going to start with B97. And I'm going to do a little dab up here on the handle. And then I want to go along the edge of the lid. I'm trying to use just a little bitty bit, and let's go, keeping my line pretty small, we'll go over the top of his finger and back to this side of the pot, and then I'm going to bring it over a little bit here on the edge. And then there's a little bit of the pot showing right here. I'm going to fill that in. Then let's do the lip of the pot, so let's do right along there and along the edge and underneath a little bit. And then let's also go around his hand. I'm trying to be careful, we don't want to color his hand blue. Like that. And then I'm going to take my brush. I'm going to tip my pen a little bit more sideways and flick away from the side. Then I'm going to add B95. Same thing, I'm going to flick right along the edge there. And then I also want to do the edge of this. Got to soften all those lines around the edge of the pot. Then we'll add B93. And let's fill in this section and then start over here on the other side of the honey. And then we're going to go around this honey. And then I'm going to brush it over here. And then I'm going to fill in the rest with my B91. And then I wanted the pot to be a little bit darker, so I'm going to go over it again. So I'm going to start with my B97 again. And again, be careful, don't color his arm. And then we'll add B95. And I think I'll bring this up to the honey. And then I'll have B93. Yeah, a little bit on my honey there. Around this. And then lastly, we'll do B91 again. Let's drag this back and over the rest of this color. And I got a little bit on the honey there, so I'm going to grab my Colorless blender and I'm just going to dab that right off of there. We don't want to have that blue. So next, let's work on the black stripes on his suit. For that, we're going to use W9, 7, 5, 3, and 1. And let's go ahead, and you can pick any stripes you want, but I wanted his hat to be black, so I'm going to work my stripes out so they end up so the top part of his hat is black. If you want it to be yellow, you would just pick different stripes. So I'm going to start with my W9, and I'm going to start with this little section of his foot that's bent. Then I'm going to add W7. W5. W3. And then W1. And then he had a couple little creases there, so I'm going to take my W9 again, and I'm going to add those creases back on his foot and leave it like that. Okay, then we're going to go up here in his neck stripe, so we're going to skip one, so then it would be this little section here that comes down on his leg. So let's do our W9 first. I'm going to come over here, and I want this to come right over here to his leg, so let me carefully go along the bottom there. And then I brought this line all the way up so I'd have something to pull off of. And then I add W7. W5. I'm going to fill this little tummy section in. And W3. And then W1. Okay, then again we're going to start with W9, and let me turn my guy here. And I'm going to make this middle stripe on his leg dark. And then we add W7. W5. W3. And on my stamp, right here on his leg, he's got like a little cluster of dots on the stamp, and I thought I stamped it wrong, but it just has some defect, I guess, right there on the stamp. And this is W1. And then he had a little crease in that leg, so I'm going to take my W9 again and just add one in right there and leave it like that. Okay, then let's skip this one and do this line, or this section. So again, we're starting with our W9. And then W7, W5, W3, and then W1 to fill that little bit in. Brush it this way and blend that line a little bit better. Alright, so we're up here on his cap. So again, let's start with W9. And he's got a little bit of his hat over here on his cheek. So I'm going to go ahead and fill that in. And be careful, it's kind of small. And then we'll come around over here. Like this. And then I want to bring this color over here. So it kind of arches up where his head's his hat looks like it kind of bends there. And then I also want to do a little bit of this color up here on his top of his hat. I'm going to grab W7. I'm going to fill in this little section right here. And then let's do a little dab over here. And then we want to add to his hat. So let's go ahead and pull this. And we'll go up. And then we'll add W5. And then W3. And then we'll fill that in with W1. And again, we want to soften this edge, so I'm going to brush towards the other colors. And then maybe drag it down like this, soften that edge. Let's see, let's add a little bit more up here of W7. I'm not liking this line that's right here. Let's go up here. W7, W5, W3, and then W1 again. So now let's do the yellow. For that we're going to use E33, YR23, Y21, Y15, and Y11. I'm going to start with E33, and let's do the honey right here first. So I'm going to do my E33 right along the top. Give a little drip, maybe a little dab down here on the edge. And then I'm going to add YR23. So I'm dabbing right along the edge of that E. And then we'll do Y21. And then I'm going to go over the entire thing with my Y15. Kind of swirl it around in there, mix those colors together. And then I'm going to skip Y11. So let's go up here and do this antennae first. So I'm going to start again with my E33. And I'm going to do a little half circle on the back. And then YR23. So same thing, let's just do a little half circle. Y21. Y15 to color it all the way in. Okay, and then we'll go down here and do a suit. So let's start again with E33. Let's start up here on this foot. So I'm going to do my E33 right here in this crack. And let's do a little dab along the sole of his foot. And then we'll add YR23. Y21. And then I want to go over the whole thing with Y15 to add a lot more yellow. Some of the spaces are going to be too small to fit our Y11, and that's okay. So again, let's go with E33, and I'm going to fill this little bottom section in, and his leg right here. And then I'm going to do a little dab on this side. And then for his foot, let's see. Let's do a little stripe of color along the bottom of his sole. And then I'm going to bring this color a little bit up the back. And he's got a little wrinkle right here, so I'm going to do a little dab right there. I'm going to go with YR23, and I want to add some color down here on these sections I already colored all the way in. And we'll just add some more color over here. And then Y21. I'm going to fill in the bottom of his foot. And then Y15. And I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of that down here too. And then I'm going to fill in the toe here with Y11. Okay, let's go do this stripe on this side. So again, E33 first. YR23. Y21. Y15. And then Y11 to fill that in. Okay, so E23 again. So let's do this next one. YR23 next. Y21. Y15. And then Y11 to fill it in. And then there's cute little sleeves. So again, let's go with E33. I'm going to fill in this little section that's inside of his shirt. And then we want to go around over here. And then I want to do a little bit along this bottom part of his shirt. I'm going to go ahead and go clear over here to the edge of his back of his sleeve. Then we're going to add YR23. Y21. I'm going to fill in this section down here. And then Y15. And then Y11 to fill that in. And then think I'll take my E33 one more time and do just the inside of his sleeve. Darken that up just a little bit more. So there is our B. Henry all colored up. Didn't he turn out cute? I love him. And then again, here's the finished card. So on my card, I added some Wink of Stella brush and clear to his wings and to the little antennae balls up here. So they got some shiny sparkles to them. Very pretty. And then he is popped up on pop dots after I cut him out. Otherwise, the entire card is flat. He's the only thing that's popped up this time. So I hope you had fun coloring with me today. If you have a question, make sure and leave me a comment and I will get back to you. Otherwise, we'll see you next time. Have a great day. Bye.